Hey, welcome to May 10th. Crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's what, 5 months into the year? We're almost halfway through the year.
Yeah, and it's been a good year. This is coming on 10 months of us. We've been in the clear for 10 months now.
Yeah,
And
I mean the markets have been good. Stocks have been doing well. Crypto's been doing well.
that's
Um,
right.
Even memes are doing well now. So it's been a very interesting year.
Yeah, there's been heaps of those. Your crypto top 10 list was killing it.
Yeah, I
And
think we've got a good we got a thumb on the pulse, and let's just keep it rolling.
facts. Oh, I forgot. I'll pull up some of those memes later because I do have some room for it. But here's where I wanted to. So we're covering four sectors today. Like last week when we were here, remember we were like, be careful, selling may go away,
Yep.
but we're still green. Not everywhere, as we predicted. Like we talked about this, right? There's always ops in the summertime. You just have to know where to go, right? And we
Yeah,
have
and
certain catalysts that are
there's
happening.
the debt ceiling right now that they're still waiting on some type of resolution on. I think that's creating a lot of fear and panic, which shouldn't, but because we know that they're going to just print more, but they
Mhm, they're
haven't
gonna do
announced it
both.
yet. So until they actually fully announce the
I'm
creation of
glad we talked
more
about this
money, I think
Friday.
there's a lot of fear due to the debt ceiling, and there's a lot of people still talking about a recession, despite the fact we're halfway through the year and we don't see a recession.
I do think a recession's coming, though. I think a hard recession's coming because of the U.S. banks and commercial real estate defaults, and then what I didn't consider until I heard the Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger interview was Warren Buffett said he's super worried about all the retailers in the U.S. because they picked up a lot of overstock and now they can't sell it, so they're going to have to sell their overstock at sales and then they're going to have losses.
Yep.
So I'm pretty worried about the US retailers. So if you have US retailers and US banks go into a recessionary area, which they should because they've been high all this time, they're due. Oh, we should pull up Walmart and stuff when we get back to it. I think we are setting up for a recession. Oh, however,
Yeah,
there
I'm
was
gonna say no recession. We've had no recession, and we're gonna continue to have no recession.
I don't agree. But one thing I do agree, one thing I'm excited about, let me see if I can find this. I came across an amazing article and it was small caps in recession. Small caps. Here we go. Yes, here it is. So I had this, I was looking back in history and we talked about it actually on the session quite a few times that when the large caps correct, the small caps blow up. And then I came across this. Can you see this screen?
I can.
Okay. Do small caps or large caps perform better in a recession? You have the two top investors in the US calling for a recession because of the commercial real estate defaults that are looming, because the US is about to default. They have an emergency meeting on Friday, but Biden has been refusing to come to the table to discuss these emergencies. So, word on the street is they're probably too late. So we do face a default. We've never seen it happen. So let's see what happens. But it
But they're
absolutely
not
could.
gonna default. All they gotta do is print more. Like they're not
Right.
gonna
And
default.
which is fine for us in the small cap market because every time they print more, it boosts up the small caps. So this article I found super interesting. We've analyzed the performance of small caps versus large caps since the 80s to find out which generated superior returns during tough economic times. So here we go. A number of recession indicators are even flashing red or on the cusp. So this was from the end of January, this article. And as bottom up stock pickers, which is what we are as well, we don't need to look far to find evidence for these challenging times. Okay. Now, investors may ask themselves if it's a time to skew equity allocations to more liquid large caps. From an emotional perspective, that seems like a logical strategy. But the data on investment returns, however, suggests the opposite. Investing in small caps during recessions has generated superior investment returns, according to our back testing since the 80s. So this is a 40-year cycle. And here we go. So phase of economic cycle. During recession, 9.9%. Large caps, 4.9. And this is back tested since the 1980s. So I think that's pretty incredible. I'm not in denial of a recession, but I think the recession is coming in the large caps, and then we're going to have a money print that's going to bring in all the gamblers and the retail investors trying to make their quick buck because inflation skewed them. And then we can have a small cap cycle, which is exactly what we saw in the 2019 crisis. So although that was interesting.
But isn't that what we saw in the markets last year?
No, in the markets last year, large caps were still strong and we were still focused on high yield and dividend stocks.
No,
because
large
small
caps were not
dead.
strong last year. Large caps got destroyed last year.
No, they didn't.
cryptos.
In the
Yes,
end
they
of the year,
did.
but in the end of the year, but in the beginning, they weren't. Large caps were the only thing that were holding everybody up. It was the only thing holding everybody up, which is why it was like Apple, Tesla, all the big guns.
They all
Walmart,
went down
Costco,
last year.
Apple,
They've all come
Tesla,
up this
Meta.
year. They all went down
Right.
last year. They've all
They've
come up
corrected
this year.
now, but they stand to correct a hell of a lot more. And Warren Buffett even alluded to this. He said the same thing that I said not that long ago, is that as soon as the banks start to default, because they're in a zero reserve banking system, in order for them to pay out people who need the cash, they have to sell stock because there's no reserve banking anymore, which means the banks have invested 100% of people's liquidity. So those are going to sell off because they always do in a recession, is people sell their safety stocks to feed themselves. So a lot of these things are coming up. Actually, let's just pull up like Walmart. What other big ones can you think of, the big retailers that
Costco?
Buffett likes? Yes, Costco. I've been a fan of Macy's along the way, but I think Macy's we have to really like stay away from because they're one of those overstock guys. What else is another one? Top of your head. Okay, well, let's just go with these ones. Let's just pull up these charts quick. That is not the Walmart chart. I don't know what happened there. Come on, Walmart, where are you? Walmart Inc. Oh, there we go. WMT. My bad. Looks like I pulled it up from some other country. Okay, Walmart. Look how high Walmart is. These are one of the things that have held these guys up for the last 20 years. And it's still up. When people need to take profits to cover the things that are defaulting, they're going to sell their Walmart. Because look at, it's definitely due. Costco's already starting to come down and they're huge on the overstock, needing to put sales in, which is the same thing that Buffett and Munger were warning about. So personally, if I had a short account, which I don't, I'd probably be doing that on these three. Oh, it looks like Macy's is already toast. Okay. They did well for a while, but they're absolutely toast. Delete that. So I just wanted to bring that up. I personally am staying away from the top large caps now because I think they're going to be the first to sell off. But we have yet to see, right? Today, my focus, oh, where's my notepad? Okay, my focus today, Bitcoin miners, top of the news, Bitcoin miners, AI, cybersecurity, and EVs. And we've seen a lot of green in those lately, right?
Yeah.
So here's the cool thing about Bitcoin miners. So clearly you know about all the drama with like Bitcoin ordinals and clogging up the system, blah, 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 right?
Yeah, there's been like record high in Bitcoin and Ethereum transactions.
Exactly. And do you know who makes
and fees
do you know who
too.
makes the money in that fees?
The
Miners. That's right. It's miners that get paid. So miners are benefiting. Like people who are using Bitcoin and wanting to transact in it right now. And if you're on the Lightning Network, no drama. But if you're trying to do an on-chain Bitcoin transaction, I would hang tight on that because you're going to see ugly fees. Like even Binance paused withdrawals because they didn't want to pay that increased fees. But aside from that, if you're not selling your Bitcoin on chain, who the hell cares? Because it will be bringing it up. Because look at this, after a tough 2022, like that, a tough 2022, Bitcoin's up 65% year to date. And the miners are bringing in more revenue than they have in over a year. So that reflects here. Look at the miners. They're juicy.
Imagine how lucrative mining will be when the price goes even higher, and then everybody will run
Exactly.
into mining.
So what? It's been a whole month now. Every single Wednesday, we've been having miners on here because there's no need to fix what's not broken. That's what I really think. They're not broken. These ranges have been juicy AF. And knowing that they just made more now in the last little while than they had all year long. And then when you look at this chart, like, look at that. That's a big spike, right?
Yeah, it just
So
feels like with a big Bitcoin pump, we could see these things really explode.
this is what I'm saying. Because yeah, the system's congested right now, but c'est la vie, because these miners, they're also gonna be buying more Bitcoin too. Don't forget.
Of
So
course.
like where this is right now, I thought this was super interesting. So look at this peak right here before the big two pump, right? We're exactly at that same level. So it looks like we're due for a little pullback and then we should have a double lump pump. I just made that up. Do you like that?
Double lump pump. Yeah, let's go.
Double lump pumps coming our way.
I want to see
Not a
Bitcoin back to
financial
60K.
advisor,
Let's go. Let's
right?
double from
You
here.
see it? The double hump pump. Okay.
Double from
Not a
here.
fan of Coinbase right now, guys. If anybody is on Coinbase, I would run for the fields because the SEC is after them. Coinbase tried to move its operations to El Salvador, but El Salvador said, "Well, no, you can't go because they have too many altcoins in their system." And so Coinbase said, "Oh, wait, take it back. We're not leaving the US." And the SEC is after them, which is why they wanted to move out. And I don't know if that's going to go so well. So, because if they put a freeze, everyone's funds are pretty much screwed, right?
Yeah, let's
So
just pray that they don't do that because that'd be disgusting.
I know, but it could happen because as we know, the US is trying everything in their power to block Bitcoin and its crypto friends from profiting. So they're trying, because the US has been watching how much outflow has been leaving the USD and going into cryptos as a whole, not just Bitcoin. And clearly that concerns them, right?
Of course.
But I think Bitcoin looks quite beautiful.
Because that means there's less money that's being used and circulated within the United States, less US dollars being circulated within the United States, and then money being taken out of the United States, putting into Bitcoin that they're not making any taxes on. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why they don't like the fact that money's flowing into Bitcoin.
That's the one. That's exactly what I wanted to say, which is exactly why all of them that have gone public have had some dramas. Robinhood went public, they had dramas straight away. They didn't seem to pick on Coinbase so early because, well, Coinbase is holding all of GBTC's Bitcoin. So this is going to be our next combo. GBTC, somebody messaged me from the Telegram group the other day and said, "Doesn't GBTC look good?" Yeah, it does. But Coinbase is holding all of GBTC's Bitcoin. And that scares me because the SEC is after Coinbase. GBTC has been the #1 institutional choice for US institutions to purchase Bitcoin. So if the US wants to take Bitcoin down on their level, all they have to do is take down Coinbase, and they've taken down a bunch of institutions holding GBTC. Smell what I'm cooking?
Yep.
So I'm still scared of GBTC. I will not deny that it's due for a run and it's clearly busted resistance and it's clearly holding it. But because of where they have their money and the drama that's going on, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. How do you feel about it? Because I'm sure there's other people that don't agree
Well,
with me.
a part of me feels like Coinbase is going to be fine. And Coinbase is kind of too big to fail because they got BlackRock heavily working with them, and they've got Google working with them. So part of me feels like Coinbase is going to be fine, but you just never know.
Yeah.
The SEC is a pretty disgusting, organization. So you just don't know, So
Exactly.
and they're doing everything they can to kill crypto in America. So that's not.
I'm still embarrassed. I'm still embarrassed and emotionally violated by the fact that I thought that Sam Bankman fucker. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Sam Bankman-Fried, I hate that man. He made us all think that he was too big to fail too, but then look what he took with him. So yeah, it scares me. I
Yeah,
just
but the
think,
difference is Coinbase has billions in dollars of real crypto in reserves. And Sam Bankman-Fried had nothing other than his bullshit coin and a bunch
oh
of other
yeah, true
little
story.
coins. He didn't even have Bitcoin.
Right, he didn't even have a one Bitcoin, not even a,
So,
he didn't
so
have
people
one
were buying
satoshi in the books.
Bitcoin, but they weren't actually getting physical Bitcoin in their wallets. And the difference is
Exactly.
with Coinbase, they have billions and billions backing them and assets, cash, crypto, and all their customers' crypto.
I think Coinbase was holding more than 10 million Bitcoin last time we looked. And that
Yeah,
was like at least 6 months
they're
ago.
gonna be fine. I don't think the
Well, they
SEC.
won't, they could be fine as a company, but if the SEC takes them down, it doesn't matter how much money they have. That's what I'm saying. That's what scares me.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I mean. I mean, I can't control the SEC. I think that the SEC, like I said, the SEC is disgusting. I think Coinbase should be fine. However,
yeah,
you know, like as far
powers
as
that be are
crypto
gross.
companies in America, Coinbase is the biggest. There's
Yes,
nobody else.
yes,
So it's like if crypto is going to survive in America, Coinbase will survive. If it doesn't survive in America, then yeah, Coinbase is gonna die.
exactly.
That's what it kind of comes down to.
Speaking of dying, I know that this sounds like a really shitty, really terrible thing to say, but look at, I think the US 30 is about to fall off the cliff.
Well, I mean, it's been trading high. We talked about how it was at 34,000 and you were like, what do you think it's going to do? And I said, it's going to go down and it's come down.
Yeah. And it's coming because I was just looking at this morning and I was like, wowzers, look at, so we have this and we have reappeared here.
Yeah. And we've
So
been in a market environment for the last couple of years where every time we get all-time highs with any asset, we sell off.
that's right. So if we on the last sell-off took 22% off, then this time we should be ending up at about 26.7. But I mean, that could take all summer long because it's sell in May and go away. So it's following a proper pattern, regardless of what the catalyst is, right? Because
Yeah. I mean, I
as
hope we don't get
we,
down to 27.
but we have, and we've recovered from that no problem.
For sure. I just feel like the market right now is stronger. And I personally don't see that happening, but it definitely could in
Yeah.
the summer. Just doesn't feel like that for some reason right now. And I
Because
don't
we've
know
had
why,
10
but
months. It's a
people have been
cycle.
predicting a collapse all year, and the market's done the complete opposite. So
See, but I haven't been predicting a collapse all
no,
year.
no, I'm
I
not
was
saying
thinking,
you. I'm just saying that everyone's been predicting a recession all year, and
and
it's
they
been the
were
complete
wrong.
opposite. The market's been on fire, stocks have been on fire, crypto's been on fire all
Yeah.
year, and we're almost
I think
halfway
it is.
through. So, do I just feel like all of a sudden there's going to be a recession in the second half of the year? No, I don't. Well,
I
you
do.
never know. Crazy
I
things can
do.
happen.
I really do. I
Could be
think
another
the last one's gonna be
war,
warm.
could be another pandemic. You know, like who knows?
Yeah, I just think it's the US with all their inflation causing a lot of defaults because people can't keep up to the prices of things. And that is definitely going to be showing, especially in real estate, residential, and commercial. However, we're not financial advisors, right? We're just here for historical chats. We have
Yeah,
awesome
but a
debates.
crazy thing's happening. Real estate's going back up. It's the most craziest
Yeah,
thing I've ever
but that's
seen.
normal for when you, I mean, if you look at the Wall Street psychology, you will see that people always have that last little bit of hope before it all crashes down because then we have propaganda news.
I
Like
mean, I hope
I
it
think
does. The real
Montreal was
estate
saying
here in Canada is still out of control, especially in Vancouver and Toronto. So
it is. The prices are still out of control, but what's happening in the gap is that there's less people mortgaging, which means there's less buyers. So people are putting their houses on the market and they're raising the prices to try and get their extra chunk of capital in. When they realize that their house stays on the market too long, they're going to start to lower their prices. And then with a couple of not having new mortgages and having less buyers, it's going to be a problem, especially when you have a large inventory. So those are the things that are all setting up, and that was 1980 style. And we're in a 40-year shift. So, I mean, it could go either way, but I really think we've had 10 months of green. It's starting like this was our 10 months of green, and it looks over now in the large caps. Oh, you know what I don't have here is the Russell 2000 because I wanted to pull that up because that was really, really interesting looking.
well, we talked about Google and Amazon, and they're both ripping, and they were both in my top 10. And
I think they're going to continue to rip because they're top tech companies in the US as well as Tesla. I have Tesla in here too for good reason. And I'll show you
absolutely.
the article on why I say this. To me, it looks like the Russell 2000 is already pretty much set its level out, and it's actually showing higher lows now, which is like a flippening. If you look at the US 30 and then you look at the Russell 2000, it's setting up to validate the research in that article that I pulled up. It's totally setting up this way. So I'm looking at more and more small caps, but I mean, it's scary to know which small caps to get. The only ones I'm interested in is Bitcoin miners, AI. So interested in AI because, like, what a week, right?
Yeah,
And
AI is everywhere. Everyone's talking about AI right now.
hell yeah. But you know what's even really cooler about that? We got to get into this before we get into the talk of it. So this is interesting. The US aims to tackle risk of uncontrolled race to develop AI. Look at the US government. Oh snap, what's this? The US government said Thursday it would invest 140 million into 7 new AI research institutes to pursue advances. That's pretty incredible.
Oh yeah, this is the
AI
new
development.
thing. AI is definitely, so far 2023 has definitely been the year of AI. There's no doubt about that.
Exactly. And on our April 19th, no, on our April 29th list, we had a whole bunch of AI stocks and they ripped just this week. They were
I heard
ripping.
this story about a guy that went to ChatGTP, asked how to create a meme coin, created a meme coin, and literally created a 200 million, I think it was million, $200 million market cap company in like a day.
What?
Yeah, and then launched his
That's
meme
sick.
coin, and then now he's guy's like a multi-millionaire.
So this AI robot built his business model?
ChatGTP essentially, if you ask them how do I create a meme coin, it'll tell you which website to go to. It'll tell you
Oh
how
my
to write the code. It'll tell you exactly how to build your coin, how to list your coin,
God.
everything you need to do. It
You
literally
don't even need
breaks
a
it all down.
brain.
It's crazy. It literally breaks it all down. And the guy did it and launched his coin, and the coin took off.
Oh, what a legend. Bless him.
Yeah.
Bless
So
him.
ChatGTP and artificial intelligence is next level.
Well, here is our list from April 29th because it's only May 10th. So this is less than 2 weeks old. And this is a weekly candle. We had a good week and we saw 25% on iNod. And I know a bunch of these you had in your top 10, right? We saw another 30% on this one, MetaWorks. Ideanomics has not done a damn thing. Chico Cyber is a Canadian one and it was having a good week. They're just on a little pullback. So they're Canadian and they're interesting. We got 25%. Lemonade was killing it. I swear we got more than that on Lemonade. Well, it's at the last 2 weeks. My bad. Since April 29th, sorry guys, I should have done a 2 candle go. 57% in 2 weeks
That's
on
nice.
Lemonade. Yes, sorry. I knew it was more than that. I'm like, wait. It's 2 weeks. It was April 29th. 25 on IDEX, dead. That's okay. 1 out of 6 could be dead. MetaWorks. Here's the weekly candle from MetaWorks. We got 90% on MetaWorks. And by we, I mean I wasn't in this, so I'm really shattered about that. Just saying. And 51% there. Then we have Spot. Spot had a wicked week, 2 weeks.
Yep.
And these pullbacks are weak. 40% in 2 weeks on Spot. And then Sound was another one, right? Here it is. Here's Sound.
AI.
And a Sound has a slow 2 weeks, but it had a rip just before that. So I don't think it's been left in the dust. I think it's still been good. So, I mean, those are some nice charts. This is why I wanted to have the AI talk. I think they did really, really good. And this next little pullback, I'm targeting it because we watched it spike now 2 times since we started watching AI. And it's only been, what, 6 weeks or so? 8 weeks?
Well, I mean, I've been watching AI all year.
No, but we've been like talking hard about it. Like, when did Chat GTP like really light it up?
I think it
It's
was
not
about February.
okay. Yeah, not long.
Yeah, most like beginning of this year is when like the whole AI thing kind of came alive. Like
Yeah.
ChatGPT is getting so big. Like I was like my daughter was saying, "Hey, your dad, I need help with a essay," and I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
use ChatGPT," and then she was like, "Oh, that's a good idea," and literally, she put in a topic and everything came out, and she was like, "Wow, this is great," and then she went,
whoa.
yeah, and then she broke down the essay, put it in her own words, and then boom, done.
Oh my.
Yeah, like ChatGPT is crazy. Like the kids use it already.
So they don't even have to learn anything. It does it for them. That's terrible. That's just gonna make kids stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also helping the kids that know how to use it to their
It's helping
advantage.
them cheat. Because they're not doing the work. The work's getting done for them. It's helping them cheat, which is really kind of sad. Great for the
Well,
kids if
hey,
you're a
it's a
kid,
tool.
but
Either you're going to use the tools or you're not. People used to say computers were helping people cheat in the past, but now if you don't know how to use a computer, you're pretty much illiterate.
yeah, but a computer didn't do everything for you. You still had to do
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll tell you right now, 99% of teenagers do not know how to use ChatGPT. The fact that my
Really?
kids do is an advantage to them in life. That's the way I look at it. It's technology. Either use it or you don't. It's up to you.
Yeah, I just get scared about society like getting stuck on technology and not exercising their
I mean,
brains.
you
But
could
that's
you
left
could choose not to use a calculator, but how many people do math without calculators?
me. I don't use a calculator.
Yeah, right. If I was to give
I
you like a big
don't.
number, you would use a calculator.
No, I would do it on paper.
Oh my God.
For real, I'm not a fan of calculators. I
You
never
will
have
not
been.
use a calculator. If I said,
I
what's
don't like
five
calculators.
million 268,000 times 262,523, you'd use a calculator.
Well, I haven't had to calculate that before, so
I'm just
it
trying to say,
wasn't a
like, it's
challenge.
technology. And
But in my everyday life, I
when
literally
technology
don't.
starts, it doesn't stop. So ChatGTP is new technology. So you either embrace it and
Yeah,
use it to your advantage or you don't. It's up to
yeah.
you. But I'm the type of guy that loves technology and I love to teach my kids technology to use it to their advantage. Now, whether they use it to their advantage or not, it's up to them. But I
Mm.
think it's an advantage if you have something accessible to you and you have the ability to use it, you should use it.
I think I'm scared of it. I think I'm scared of it. Like to me, like the
Well, like I
training the
said, there's a guy that
computer
created a
to be
coin
a
in like
person scares me, and
days.
that's what I think it is.
There's a guy that learned how to create a coin in days because of ChatGTP. Some people might say that
Yeah,
that's
that's
cheating.
insane. Props
That's
to
saying, oh,
him.
that's cheating. He learned how to use a coin in days. He should have taken years. Well, no, that's his advantage of being smart, thinking smart, and instead of working hard, he works smart. And the guy launched a coin literally by asking ChatGTP, and ChatGTP told him which website to go to, everything. They break down everything.
So it's Chat GDP's coin. Chat
They
GDP
even tell
needs
you the
to switch
name. They even
companies.
give you names. So, oh, you should
Oh
call
my
it this.
God.
What should I call my new coin? And it give you like options of names. Like it's next
So
level.
creepy. So creepy. It reminds me of those. Do you remember when we were pulling up those robots, the human robots? It reminds me of those. It's getting so crazy. Those things are going to get super smart.
Yeah, that's
Speaking of super smart, oil's rebounding. Will it stay? Who knows?
been
Because
very
if the US,
volatile.
it's scary right now
Very,
because
very volatile.
very volatile and scary. Because in all actuality, when you're thinking about economic analysis, this should continue to recover. However, if the US does default in 2 days, which could happen, hopefully it won't, but it could.
The United States will not
Um,
default.
well, because people that said it wouldn't are now saying it might if Biden doesn't smarten up and come faster. Like Janet Yellen, I hate the woman, I do. But she even said it out loud, and she doesn't usually admit any wrongdoing. Is she said
Yeah,
he is
because they're trying
behaving
to
way
create
too like
fear
a
and they're trying to
selfish.
create panic because that's all the administration in America does. But they're
Mhm.
not going to default because all they have to do is print more money.
Word to the Madre.
So
So
why would you default?
when is that printer gonna seize up though? Like
It will
at what
never seize
point?
up. Why would it ever seize up?
Oil
It's a
that thing
printing
like
machine.
nobody's business. Speaking of oil, as long as they print that we don't have a default, So clearly that's the permissions they're waiting for on Friday is for a big old print, because this is, I think you're 100% bang on. They're just looking for Biden to authorize a print, otherwise they're skewed.
Yeah, and
And
Biden has never done anything to help America or the economy or the people of
right,
America. So why would he start now?
I
You know, in his
know,
brain,
he's too busy
which is
pretending he
Swiss
didn't
cheese,
take.
in his brain, which is Swiss cheese, he doesn't even know what tomorrow is.
Right, and if he does, he forgets because he's demented.
Yeah,
Just like
so I mean,
Trudeau, who can't
yeah,
count.
you can't take anything that Biden does seriously, let's be honest.
True
But at the end of the
story.
day, they're not gonna default because all they gotta do is print more. So why
And
would they
as long as
default?
they do, then we should be just fine on oil because it looks like it's rebounding beautifully.
Well, the
It
problem with
looks
oil is we're going into a seasonal time where oil prices go lower. So
well, but it's not going to go lower because we have the US already, we have catalysts because they've used up all their reserves, which not all the reserves, they've used up quite a bit of their reserves, which was keeping the price lower. But now Biden's used his get out of jail free cards already. So those are pretty much drying up. And then the fact that Russia has pretty much put a stop on the taps, I think it just sets up to go higher. However, it really could go either way. And I'm not confident saying it's going to go up because if there is anything close to a default by Friday, we can see some scary stuff happen. But we saw scary stuff happen in the past, 2019, right? And then it recovered because printing happened. So
well, you
yes,
can
these
see that chart. We're kind of in this zone that we've been stuck in for a while now, like 65 to 85. That's kind of
I
the
know, but if
zone.
you look on the long term, it looks like it's straight red. Like look at the monthly. The monthly to me looks straight red like it did here. Do you see that?
Well, yeah, I
So
mean, it's come down from last year where it hit 130 and we're at
yeah.
72. So
And
it's
that's why it worries me because it absolutely could come down and test that ugly area with what's happening. So just be prepared. That's all. But if it rebounds from here, so that's why we're going to have to watch it super closely because look how reactive this area is right here. Like super reactive. So we just have to really, really pay attention to what happens right here. Like you said, this bouncing between 60 and 80 is our telling time. Once we cross 80, ape out, right? Ape out. But right
yeah, I
now,
mean, like I'd love to see it get back to 100. I mean, just because I have COMT. I mean,
yeah,
so
I have
I
COMT
mean,
and
I don't
plasma.
really like it at 100 because it makes the prices at the gas pump go ridiculous. But as
Yes.
an investor in something that is oil related, I want it to go to 100 at some point. And I think
Oh,
if it does happen, in my opinion, it'll be in the fall or the winter when typically
yes.
seasonal temperatures are colder, and then people have to spend more money on their heating. And
Yeah.
that's typically when you see the gas prices usually go a
Okay.
little bit higher.
That exactly aligns with my theory. Exactly aligns with my theory. I think this drama could cause us a test down to these areas or a bit lower. But if we take on this sell and may go away, usually everyone comes back by September.
Yep.
October's our good month. That
Yep.
should pump up. So I think it's going to be sketchy. I'm going to try to look often in case everyone's freaking out because I will be too. I'm in COMT too. Not nearly as much as you are, but still, money's money.
Of course.
And doesn't matter if you have 100 or 100,000. I got a lot more than $100 in there, let's just say. But I'm just saying it's stressful no matter how you look at it. Just we got to be careful. And all we can do is hedge these risks with other things that are juicy. These are juicy. Like, look how nice we're holding. We've been holding hut since for like a good solid 2 months. Hut's held for 2 months and just been playing off this range for a good nice 40 and a 40. And then here comes from this level, looks like we got another 20. So way cool, way cool. Hive just pulled back for another rip. So we were waiting for a pullback. We're here and it's pretty much leveled out. So I think it's a good entry. You have to be able to accept a risk that we could test here again. But just FYI, these miners have been a great time. I'm green on my BTBT. Woo.
Nice.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you. It took a year and a half.
Hey, patience is a virtue.
And averaging down. I had to average down. So I'll show you what I had to do because it was painful to see that go down. So here was BTBT, and it was stressful. It was really stressful. Nevertheless, I had to average down, and I've been averaging down pretty much all year long because my buy-in was here. Oh yeah, exactly a year. March. So yeah, a year and a couple months. So that was my buy-in. I had to average down. I got it down, and now I'm finally green. But the only way I could get it down was by playing BITF and just flipping it. So I kept flipping my profits on Bitfarms and then averaging it down on my BTBT. So that's what's been happening. And now I'm out of my Bitfarms because I sold the last to get my last BTBT, and then we had a 10% day, and now we're good. So the point is that it's still juicy. So I'm waiting for it to come back though. Hopefully we can get this like $1.16 area again, which we've been getting often. Like it keeps retesting that area. I'm gonna hang tight until it does. And this is the TSX, by the way. We have BTBT in the New York, is it NASDAQ? BITF's on the NAS, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So clearly you'll see a difference in the numbers. When I'm saying $1.16, I mean Canadian. So that would be like $1.02 or something US, right? Anyways, word up on that. I'm out of it, but I want back in ASAP. And I didn't sell my BTBT because I waited too long for it to go green. I need to see some profit, you know?
Yep.
Which I'm just green. Like I'm just green. So I'm not in profit. MicroStrategy though, looks like the lightning conference went well, hey?
Yeah. So far, so good.
No, how do we see volume, recent volume? I don't have a recent, oh, strong buy, strong buy, strong buy. You see this?
Yep.
More technicals, strong buy. I like this. Look at this.
Wow. The Dow Jones just went from red to green.
Ooh, well done.
Everything started green, then it went red, and now everything just went green again.
Great. Well, when I this morning when I was reviewing our list again, it started as this. I had it May 10th still green, and then just before we came live, I had to take this still green off because we were red. I was like, shoot. Okay, I can put it back in. No, for real though. But look at the rhythm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like look at Riot and Mara right now ripping. Mara's up 10%.
That's it.
Because Bitcoin was at 28, it dropped to 26, and now it's back to 27,700. It's doing a lot of, I mean, the whole market's done that today. It was green, then it went red.
I think it dips because people were scared about the prices. Like people were all having so much drama about the fees that not too smart people were selling, but that wasn't a big deal. I mean, you know, a little correction was not a big deal. But I think now that we've seen it was the fees and the congestion, and congestion is like, yeah, it's frustrating for people, but congestion just means that there's a hell of a lot of traffic out there.
But the market is really, really weird because the CPI report came out today, and that's what everyone was afraid of. And the CPI report came out positive.
Right.
So the CPI came out at 4.9%. They were expecting 5%. It came in at 4.9. So the market initially went green, then it went red.
Yeah.
And now it's green again. And it should really technically be green because they did a beat.
Exactly.
They actually beat the forecast of 5%, which means inflation is going in the right direction. We're now under 5% in America. We're at 4.9% in America. So they're getting closer to that 2% inflation number that they want. We're still a ways away, but it's going in the right direction. I mean, we were at 9% inflation. We're down now to 4.9% inflation. So all of these rate hikes they've been doing over the last year and a half, it's working. It's working, and inflation is getting back to that, you know, closer and closer to that 2% mark. So the closer inflation gets to that 2% mark, the closer the United States goes to actually not doing any more rate hikes. Once the United States, which I believe maybe on the next rate hike option, they might say, we're not going to do a rate hike, which will be this summer, like next month in June. And if they do that, that's going to be very bullish for the market.
Damn straight it will.
And that's why I don't believe we're going into recession, because if they stop hiking rates, that's going to be bullish for the market, and then that's going to drive us to the rest of the year.
Right, but they didn't say they were going to maintain the hike, right? So that's the thing that people are scared of right now, is if they maintain the numbers of hikes. So what I translated Powell to say last time was, oh, I don't expect to give you another 0.5. I expect to give you, the same and maintain that.
Well, he did a
means
0.25 on the last one, right? So we were doing 0.75, then we went down to 0.5. Now we're down to 0.25. So
right,
if
and if we
he
continue to do
says
5 or 6
we're just
more
going to
points,
pause, that will be extremely bullish for the market.
oh, pause would be amazing.
This is what I'm saying. This is what a lot of people are expecting, that either he's going to do one more hike.
These CPI numbers, we should see a pause.
That's what I'm saying. So because we had a pause in Canada and we're at 4% too. So if they do a pause, that could be extremely bullish for the market.
This is an absolute fact.
Extremely bullish for Bitcoin. So that could be the next catalyst in this market, in my opinion, which could happen.
I think that's a damn possible catalyst, and a beautiful one.
Yes. So that's what I'm hoping for. But knowing the way that these guys have been going, they probably will do another 0.25.
What are we, maybe we're 2 weeks away from this date? When is this being announced? Is it the 2nd or the 3rd of June?
Well, they just did the last one, right?
Right. So
they do them like every month, right? Or every couple weeks. So I'm assuming in June will be the next one. And then I don't know exactly when, but hopefully at that point they decide to take a break, because they've not given us a break and they've been going aggressive for the last year and a half with rate hikes.
Yeah.
Like every single meeting they've done a rate hike. I think it was 14 rate hikes in a row.
Yes.
Like that is crazy. And the market's still going up. So
it was like a lot of analysts was expecting that we were going to see another 0.25 in June and another 0.25 in July. Even if we see that, that's not so bad. Yeah, it's not going to kill anyone, right? But if he decides to pause, all of a sudden the market gets extremely bullish. And then that could be a bullish summer, really. Yes, and that could be a bullish market, and that could lead to being very bullish for Bitcoin. Absolutely. But that's in the hands of Powell. So he may just continue to do 0.25, and then we're going to stay in this choppy zone. But if, like I said, if he does do a pause, in my opinion, that will be the start of, hopefully the next bull market, the real bull market. I concur. I totally concur. And if he does a print, just to keep people's head above water, that can also be a catalyst for our bull market in the small caps and the Bitcoin miners. And other people are saying that once he pauses, he might even start saying, hey, we're going to reduce the interest rate. That would be amazing. That would really take the market to like bullish territory. And we could see something like that happen pre-election as well, because those are the kind of sketchy things that happen pre-election when they need to clean their slates. So that's another thing that I've been hoping on as well. So let's see if we get it, because truly that would be freaking amazing. Speaking of amazing, look at Mara. So you see 11% in the green, and you're thinking you're going to pull this chart up and be like, oh my God, that's too high, I'm staying away. I don't feel that way. Look where we are. Okay, so I just got to mark this baby out. Got a long way up. We got a long way up. This is like, oh, it's juicy. So let's make her beautiful again. Okay. So let's back this up. Actually, I'm going to go to the daily on here. Oh, what a golden gem, hey? So Mara is also one of Michael Saylor's favorite Bitcoin miners. Mara, Riot, and Bitfarms, I think, were the faves, right? Yeah, he loves Bitfarms. Damn straight. And Riot and Mara. So I've never owned Riot or Mara because I just didn't. I missed it. And then 2019, 2020, I missed it. And then I never had a chance to come back. But this, I think, is now the time. Yes, it could retrace because these things happen. But I'm thinking it's just about that time to just, for me personally, I think it's time to go because it looks so good. It just looks so good. Like, we've always talked about I call it the jacket box and you call it the elastic band effect. It's here. We just saw a 10% rip, 11%. It actually pulled back to 10 and it's still going. So it's juicy as heck. But anyways, we just pretty much popped resistance. This 11% just popped resistance. So if we could hold those gains tomorrow, that's amazing. We do have a risk that that could be eaten up tomorrow though, right? Because people are in accumulation mode because it's sell in May and go away. So I think we're going to see a lot of the charts choppy because everyone's scared to hold in the summer, right?
Yeah.
So for me personally, this 11% is absolutely beautiful. We've seen it a couple times in last week. So, you know, there's been chances to take probably about 30% in Mara over the week. I've been watching it just rip and dip and rip and dip. But I think it rips and then dips because it's May and people are scared to hold, which means those opportunities to accumulate are here. So based on that chart, we could like pull back to just over $9. If we hold that $9, buckle up. That's what I think. So it's juicy. Do you own Mara right now?
No.
Okay.
I own
Riot?
BTBT and BITF.
Oh,
I
cool.
own
Same.
BTCC.B, BTCC.X, or BTCX.B.
Oh, I got another one. I didn't put it in here. How dumb. How dumb of me. I found a very cool little ETF that I thought was quite interesting. And it's called BWEB. So, you know, I've been a fan of, well, I'm not a personal fan of ETFs, but I think ETFs are a nice choice for people that don't want to do their own DD too full on, right?
Yeah.
So I introduced this to the group yesterday, and it's just incredible to me that this happened. Often when you see, especially that from this area, 2023, we've not seen this kind of, okay, so December, it was the bottom, and then we saw a peak of 50%. I don't see any other Bitcoin related stock that's gone up 50% since December, like a Bitcoin one. So this bottomed and recovered in just this many months. And we're approaching all-time highs on it, which was, where was the all-time highs here? Come on, it's not showing me. What am I missing? Okay, weird, it's not showing me. Either way, also listed technically as a strong buy, even though it's about to bust resistance. So this is an ETF I think we need to pay close attention to because it looks like they're rocking worlds. Quite wild, hey?
Yeah.
So
New
yeah,
one for me. I'm writing down BW.
I found it by accident, and then I started doing some DD. I'm like, oh, you're interesting, and then it keeps going. So it's blockchain and Web3. I didn't do like I did a little look into all the companies that they have in this ETF. It looks to be a lot of blockchain and some Web3. But it looks really well balanced so far. I just got to dig a bit more, but I like it. And that's a big momentum for something that's just growing momentum. Because when you look at all these others, they're just growing momentum, right? But that's just like rocking. So
Riot's a monster. Riot and Mara are next level.
I know.
They're
like,
rockets, just ready to bust, just waiting for Bitcoin to bust so they can bust.
Part of me was thinking that you might be a little bored with my list because we've had Bitcoin miners on our list for the last month, but they're still good. They haven't stopped.
I mean, I don't get bored about anything that gets the job done. So
exactly.
if you're buying something and it's making money and there's the opportunity to make more, then we can really focus on it because that's what we do here. It's not about how many picks you have. It's about winning on your picks and finding winning picks and learning how to buy low and sell high and learning how to eliminate your emotion and taking your profits and growing your portfolio.
That's right. And that's why I really wanted to say, like, I'm sorry, but not sorry. You're going to keep seeing them as long as they're GC because we got to just ingrain this. There was people like me that missed a lot of these rips last time and it was annoying. So we already talked about the AI giants with the US putting in that much money into AI. I think it's great. However, who knows how long it'll last for, but the momentum is legit. So if you can pick a dip on those babies, we just saw a beautiful rip. Clearly people are taking their profits as they do every summer. We never maintain, not never. We rarely maintain spikes in the summer because everything pulls back so much, right? But we can take the rips. Okay. Well, first let's go to Blackberry. Ow! You see it?
Yeah, you called it. That's an amazing
You
call.
see it?
Wow. And I had my doubts. I really
I'm
did.
up over 40%.
Well done. Well done.
But it was sketchy. Even last week, remember, I was like, I'm a little scared.
Yeah, I like I told you, I had no confidence in BlackBerry. You called it though. That was a
I
good bet.
did though. I did.
Did you
And I
sell it?
stuck with it. No, not yet. But I think
Oh,
I
don't
need,
let
no,
that
but
go
I
back
think
under
I need to like
$7.
find more. I know because, but
Better
it
make sure
didn't
you
look
take your
like this when we
profits.
were coming.
Lock
You
in
know,
your
this
gains.
week, I know. I feel like we might be hitting this resistance area, and I'm a bit scared. Like, but
Nothing
I don't
wrong with
know.
taking 40%.
I said $8, but now I think it needs to be like now. Yeah, I'm scared. I'm literally sweating about it. I just broke a sweat when we pulled it up.
Well, it's up
So
4.8% today, so there's no reason to sell now, but I would definitely
I
keep an eye
think
on
I
it.
do want to have an order in though by morning, just in case it pulls back, because there's some decent profits and we haven't had a pullback.
Yeah, I
Like it's
wouldn't let it go
been,
under 7 without selling. That would be my goal.
yeah, because we pulled back here. And so now that we're here again, and there's that little wick, it's scaring me that I think maybe it's time to take that and pop in again. So, whoa, something just happened. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think it might be time to take this and then pop back again for another accumulation because I picked up in here, only I did it here. I picked up in here and I missed that first spike. And then I got scared when that red came. And last week I was sweating. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, I missed the spike. I can't believe I missed the spike. So now that there's a spike that I didn't miss, I don't want that to happen again. And it feels like it could. So I'm probably going to put an order in when we get off this call because I'm literally sweating. But just wanted to say I stuck to my guns and it worked. So I'm really proud.
Well done.
What I'm not proud of is this. I didn't get it. Talked about it a lot.
You did.
I didn't get it.
Well, it's
And that shattered.
$117 stock, right? So it's different.
No, but it was only there and it's only been a week. So it's gone up about 50% this week.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Nice week.
50%.
Well done.
Yeah, 42%. So it's been a good week for Zscaler.
Yeah.
It does look like it's going to pull back to this support level though. So that gives it another 20 again, right?
Yep.
But the reason why, and again, sorry to repeat, but it's true, Global Threat Intelligence Report. Yes, this is from BlackBerry. So sorry, not sorry. BlackBerry's been winning a lot of awards for their cybersecurity. I don't even think about them as phones anymore because the reason I'm invested in them is for cybersecurity. That's why. They're my Canadian cybersecurity pick. So this is interesting. 90 days by the numbers from December 22 to February 23, 12 attacks per minute. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Out of the top 10 countries experiencing cyber attacks, the US remains the country with the highest number of stopped attacks. So clearly, there is money to be had in the companies stopping the attacks. Da-da, da-da, right?
Yes.
However, I found this interesting, not that it has anything to do with today's moneymaker, but Brazil is the second most targeted country, followed by Japan and Canada. Canada is number 3 in hacks.
Was probably because there's a lot of people with crypto.
Word to the madre. I think you're right there. So anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting. And that's why I think there's big money in this. And considering I still keep reading that there's so many companies out there that are so super focused on, like I told you, it was Berkshire Hathaway, KPMG, JP Morgan. I'll pull them up and share them in the group chat, but they all put out huge reports this year talking about focus on cybersecurity. So this is why we're at the bottom of it. Cybersecurity went up 10 times during the pandemic. They were all 10 baggers. So the fact that we've returned to those levels again and we're setting up the exact same landscape To me, there's money in this. Even though it's summer and sorry, I closed my trading view by accident. Even though it's summer and I expect it to still go slow, I think it's going to be cray cray. Anyways, I pulled up a bunch of companies that we've already been into in cybersecurity, and a lot of them are good. The only one that I own is BlackBerry and CrowdStrike. Do you own any right now?
No.
Okay. Do you plan on it, or is it just not your jam right now? You can only invest in what's exciting to you. So
I mean, I'll invest in anything if it's got a chance to move, right?
fair enough.
So I will never say never, but like $133 stocks don't get me as excited, to be honest with you, as like the smaller ones, obviously.
That's okay. I got smaller ones for you.
No, I know. I'm just saying for me personally, CrowdStrike is just like, it's such a high price stock that it just doesn't do it for me.
Okay, fair enough. I totally
Like if
get
I'm
it.
gonna buy a high price stock, I like to buy like the Amazons, the Apples, the Teslas, the Googles. I'd rather kind of stick with those ones.
Okay.
But because this one, I mean, it's been as high as 300, so it's just
Exactly. And
a
that
little
was
bit of a
pretty
different one.
recent. That was pretty recent. Okay, so I did this exactly for you because I know you like your 30 to 50 ones. So that's why I threw these in this time. Sentinel is a legend in cybersecurity, and they're mostly residential, which is a big one, especially seeing this one every 59 seconds. And look where it's sitting. So October 22, which is exactly the time that all of them pulled back because people forgot, because they thought that the war was only going to be about guns. There's a really good percentage in that, and there's still a monster. So Sentinel's at 1795 with a 343% potential.
Nice.
Tenable is also a monster, and Samsung. So there's only about 150 in it, but nevertheless, it's a goodie. And then I wouldn't be me if I didn't throw out an ETF, but this ETF looks fab. And I do think they have a small dividend. Not that that matters right now, but 0.25, meh, it's weak. Not worth throwing a stick at. But if you're not into doing that, fine. Splunk, I like Splunk because it's done me well. I've played it a couple times. And I think this is the level. It looks like it wants to come off of here. And when it rips, it's juicy. So you usually get like 20 to 30% rips off of it. Okta though was just running right along with Zscaler, and I wanted Okta as well. So Okta since last week has been up, okay, 21%, but it seems like more than that. This one, if you're still, this is the one. So when cybersecurity was peaking, we had Palo Alto was hitting like 500, CrowdStrike was at 300. They were all going crazy. And then Kramer was like, I like Rapid7. And I was like, I've never heard of that one. But actually, and I don't like Kramer, as you know, because he's caused everyone some drama lately. Either way, analysts have their days. The truth is, it looks really good. The truth is, it looks really good, and they are still a cybersecurity monster. And Jim Cramer hasn't called it in a long time, so therefore it should go up again. And they have a nice uptrend. So I just wanted to see this candle is building and it's looking juicy. So we have 1, 2, 3 higher lows. So it looks like it's ready to blow. I think it is. Now, I'm sorry, do you have time? Because we're going over.
Yeah, I have time.
Okay, cool. Last session that I think is super, super important, no matter what happens, if we have a recession or we don't, it doesn't matter about our next stocks because they're EVs. And there's already been rules set in place that Biden wants everything EV by, was it 2027? I think it was 2027. It's not far away. And Canada had this lo and behold thing that they could do it by 2025. These both seem kind of unattainable. However, what's going to happen is the process is going to get awesome. So Apple, I still say Apple because yeah, they don't have any cars drilling around, but their technology is next level. And I see them, I mean, they are trying to make technology for EVs and they are technology giants. So Apple and Tesla are what I think are going to be the top giants in EV and EV tech. That's just based on what we've seen recently. Tesla's sitting at 168 and Apple's sitting at 173. If Apple continues to do this EV technology, then they can stand in line to collect some of the tax credits that Tesla gets, right?
Absolutely.
Because Tesla gets a lot of tax credits. That's what most of their income came from before they got all these cars on the road.
That's right.
And they collect a ton of them, government grants and whatnot. And there's a heck of a lot more coming through because Biden promised that everything would be EV by 2027, which means he needs to pump a lot of money into these people to make sure that they can get it. Anyways, Tesla clearly isn't bottoming out. It's clearly on the rise. So just saying, even if it does have a dip, they're not going anywhere. They're still the top EV producer in the world. So, c'est la vie. Rivian had a good day, but it's pulling back. So what? Doesn't seem to be a challenge. The fact that it did well, yeah, it's pulling back. People want profit, but they topped expectations. So to top expectations in an EV world where we've had so many things against us, lack of graphite, lack of lithium, lack of chips, the fact that they still beat expectations is something to be proud of, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they have a lot of potential. I mean, a lot of these EV companies had huge runs, including Tesla. Now they've pulled back, and a lot of them are set up for another huge run. They just got to have good results. So now it just comes down to earnings. And we're in an earnings season that everyone thought was going to be horrendous. And the reality is it hasn't been. There's been a ton of beats. Yeah, there's been a little bit of a slowdown here and there, but you know, most of these companies have beat. You know, the big strong companies have continued to got stronger. They've cut down, they've leaned down, and a lot of them have done well. But these newer companies like the Rivians that are not profitable yet, it's been a very tough environment for a lot of them. So they've been beat down. But as an investor, that's really what you're looking for. So now that they're beat down, if they report strong, there's the opportunity. There's the upside right there. Now, if they report weak, they could get beat down a little bit further, and then you got to wait for another quarter. But that's kind of where we're at with the market. A lot of these coins and stocks have been beat up, and it's setting up for huge upside if they, you know, have either big news or big partnerships or big fundraising, big acquisitions, or big revenues.
And government grants.
Government grants, which you can put in news and press releases, which makes the stock go.
I thought this press release on Rivian was pretty awesome. Rivian shares raced to a 5-week high after the company posted a narrower than expected Q1 loss, which means the recovery is real.
Yep.
And a significant improvement in revenue from the year ago quarter, which means the momentum is real.
Yep. Starting to have sales, right?
Exactly. Now, this is the most exciting. The company's CEO confirmed its exclusive relationship with Amazon and said the EV maker will look to establish partners with other delivery services. So Rivian is definitely integrating itself into the giants. That makes me think that it's time for Rivian, because look at that chart.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, we believe that I do that.
I do
this
too.
thing is going to make a move, but it's just about finding that, you know, finding that sweet spot, getting in before it runs.
Exactly. To me, this looks like the sweet spot. Like when this pullback finishes, and it's not much of a pullback because we had 36% on the week in Rivian. So people have just, you know, bought the rumors, sold the news. They're selling the news today because that was great news. They're taking some profits off their 35. We'll take a little dip of maybe 10 or 20 over the next couple days as people forget and want their money. But when the hype train runs in, because the hype train will run in, because like the ones, if you ask, which I did, by the way, if you ask Google who the top EVs are, they say Tesla, Lucid, Rivian, XPEV, and NIO. So when one goes, they're going to flood because there's not much to define them right now. Like nobody has a defining edge except for Tesla. And Tesla can't handle the market. So I think it's just about go time for Rivian on that pullback. So that's going to be my smash point. Can't have an electric vehicle if you don't charge it. Looks like this is the bottom for ChargePoint, and we've seen it a couple times already. So this has been the repeated bottom for ChargePoint since the bottom. You see that?
Yeah.
We've not broken past this bottom, and that was June 22. And these are 100% in those rips or 50% to resistance, just in the support and resistance rips. Don't say you didn't see how juicy that looked.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Lucid, same. Oh, I hope next time you go like into the city, can you let me know if that Lucid storefront still exists in Vancouver?
Sure. I'm sure it does.
Because it was sick.
I'm sure it does. I don't see any
remember
reason why it
seeing-
wouldn't.
Yeah, good point. I just don't know if they kept a storefront because you know a lot of companies have reduced things by getting rid of brick and mortar during this time.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but I just remember like, oh my God, the looks of these cars were so frothy. It was like if you put a Ferrari EV and just made it so sexy, it would be Lucid. I just remember thinking these cars were so sexy. So for a high-end client, that's going to be the jam, I think. And it's got like 10 bagger all over it. Point being is it's lower than its original.
$7, it's so cheap right now. It could be crazy.
Exactly.
Just to get 1,000 shares and hold.
Exactly. Because they seem to still be sharing that, like showing themselves as the, what's the word? Like the exclusive kind of thing. XPEV, macking on XPEV because China has the highest amount of EVs in the whole entire world. And XPEV is a Chinese company with most of the cars in China. So if you look at that price, I mean, all-time high of $70, $75, and they're sitting at $10. This seems to be their running bottom for the most part. I mean, nah, make that $8. I think $8 is the running bottom. So a little pullback on that is like an elastic band. If it even pulls back though, because it's got a really strong momentum. So we're up on that. Neo, again, listed as another top, and it looks like it's just tapping that space. Like these are juicy to me right now. And knowing that there's all these catalysts, like, let's see, Biden has to make his country like him before the next election. And the only way to do that is to make the hippies happy that you're going to save the world. And the only way he's going to offer to save the world is to make vehicles electric, because that's all he knows, right?
Yep.
Catalyst. Neo is still listed as a top. I don't think I've ever seen what a Neo electric vehicle looks like. Nevertheless, they're still giant. But the running bottom on that, to caution, is still $6. So it can, and it looks like it's on its way back to test that $6. Like I don't see any momentum yet that's ready to pull that up. I think we actually can test this level. So that's the only one that looks like it's still going to slip a bit more. And then we have GM and Ford, clearly, because we have to. GM is looking pretty decent. And they seem to have done a lot of restructuring and a lot of cool things. Only thing that I think is going to affect GM and Ford right now is inflation and interest rate hikes, because a lot of people can't afford the interest on a new car right now, because right now a new car is a luxury when you can hardly afford your mortgage. So one report that I read recently was that a lot of new car sales just are not happening right now. So I do think these are going to sink a little lower, even though they're at the bottom, because I don't think they have the exact same catalyst that the EV market has. Yes, they're listed as EV, but we know GM doesn't have that many EVs, right?
That's right.
Ford, I think, is different. Yes, Ford, I think, is affected by the same thing, as in new car sales have been lower. But I think, and I've done a lot of digging, I think that Ford has restructured in such an amazing way that I think they're going to spike fast. And it looks like it's tightening up. Like, look at this. If I pull this back over from the Ford peak days, look at, we're coming off of that. So we retested it in July 2022, retested it again in December, and we haven't retested it again. Yes, it can. And if it does, that's the juiciest entry, I think. Because Ford is 3D printing their own like body panels. They're 3D printing their own parts. they're doing a lot of stuff in America without shipping overseas now. So I think they could be first to rip. And then just a quick scatter, picks and shovels, because these are the small caps. Super macking on small caps right now because you saw the Russell 2000. It looks like it's ready to rip. And with that whole data of inflation causing small caps to rise, because the gambler comes out in people when they start to get scared. It happens to all of us. And it's natural. So as people start to get scared in their small caps, they're going to rush into these. I mean, large caps rush into the small. So we've seen some nice pullbacks. Hypercharge is pulling back, but I think it's at about its 70% pullback. I don't think it's going to come all the way. It looks like it might hit this 139. And if so, it's so tappable. I think a first pullback is totally fine on a brand new company that has its very first rip. So to me, it looks like that 70% is just about done. It should land about $1.28. And if we start to see, oh, I'm going to mark it just to see if I'm right, just for curiosity. If we sit at this $1.28 right here, that should be a little consolidation line and then go time. So let's see what happens. But it was a monster in the past, and anyone who didn't take their profits, I'm sorry for you, but I hope you learned a lesson. There's going to be another chance. Blink is just like ChargePoint. Everyone has to charge their EV, and since they're in North America, every new car has to be an EV by 25 to 27. There is no reason why these ChargePoint and Blink isn't going to skyrocket. And look at where it is. $7, all-time high is 65 when the world wasn't completely electrified. So this was a hype run. Imagine what's going to happen when the real stuff comes. Yes. So this was 2021 rip zone right here. Boom, right where we are now. So don't say you weren't warned. I'm down on my MBM, blah, blah, blah. I'm not worried about it. I'm really not worried about it. Yes, it's down. I don't think it's the end of the world. And then we got to talk about graphite, GRPH, GPH, and FMS. Graphite next to lithium is the top element required for electric vehicles, batteries. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I've been writing all these picks. This is good. I like this.
Yeah, I'm really backing. I think I need graphite in my list. Like I need to own some graphite. I was looking at the elements. I found a chart. I wish I pulled it up. I'll send it in the group later. But it was basically counting out the need for the key elements in the electric vehicles, batteries. And we've been focusing so much on lithium, but graphite is actually needed more because graphite is what they use to process lithium. That was what I understood. I could be wrong, but it's definitely graphite was even more needed than lithium. And there is not a lot of graphite miners out there. I looked, not a lot of public ones anyways. So what that means for us is the bowl is not too big of fish, right?
That's right.
When there's not that many fish, they should all come and swim in the same school. So that's why I had to pull these ones up. I'm going to dig a lot more through the week and get some like solid DDs. So when we come back together next week, I'm going to have a large focus on graphite because I'm merging my graphite and lithium list together.
Perfect.
Yes, excited about that. Just a couple more. I'm sorry if I'm boring you, but I'm excited about this. Global lithium and battery ETF, looking juicy, coming out the Mo zone, and it's an ETF. So if you're lazy and don't want to do DD and want someone else to do it for you, it's a good looking ETF. And it does have a small dividend, I think. Probably really small, but let's check. 0.95, meh. The FEC, Battery Future Acquisition. I found this one new. I haven't done any DD on it, so we don't know if it's worthy yet, but the spikes in it look like a lot of fun. So anyways, we still have to do a bunch on that. Battery materials, BMR, I like the rhythm, it's recovering, and it's got a really juicy upside because this was IPO. Anyways, that's BMR. Here's a giant. ABB is considered, and this was new to me, one of the top electric vehicle battery manufacturers in the US. ABB, they're called. Do you know these guys?
No.
2% dividend. Not that a dividend matters to me right now, because I don't know if I want to hold anything long enough for a dividend, because I'm kind of in a rip and accumulate mode until September. But nevertheless, a dividend's a dividend. So 2%. But the momentum in this chart is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Coming to all-time highs because they are producing. So yeah, pretty stoked about that. I didn't know that Shell is making profit. I didn't know until this week. Shell is profiting. Shell has a bunch of charging stations. So they are considered one of the top charging station electric vehicle stocks as well. Not
Oh,
just
wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Neither did I until this week. As it was, because I was trying to get, I knew there was a lot more charging than Hypercharge and Blink and ChargePoint. So I was digging deep, and then Shell wasn't deep at all. It was right there on the surface, and I just totally missed that fact. So super cool. So they kind of have a double dip, and I'm pretty sure they're the only ones that do gas and charging, because a lot of gas stations have other charging stations like ChargePoint or Blink. They don't actually have their own. So, and they have a 3.5% dividend, and they're Shell. So, and they're only $60. And I know you like that 30 to 60 level.
I do. I like Shell.
Yeah, me too. So word up. That was exciting news for me to hear. And then these next three are also charge points. So Wallbox is considered the highest purchased charge point company. They're like the most popular. And look where they're at. $3.61 with an all-time high of $28. Hello. Wallbox is everywhere, but they're mostly residential. So it's got a really nice percentage in it. Workhorse, I didn't know this until recently doing my DD. They are not a charge point station, but you want to know what they do?
What do they do?
They make them.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Right. So they make them and sell them to everybody else. Not everybody else, but quite a few of them. I did a little bit of digging and I was like, oh, didn't realize that. But now look at this chart. It's $1.07. Look at the all-time high. $44. So this is my fave of the bunch right now for gains, because that is spectacular.
Huge upside.
3,346% to high that they all hit together at the exact same time, and it's $1.06. This is my most exciting. I'm just really excited about that. But I think it's because we didn't know. I didn't know. I knew that Workhorse was doing a bunch of stuff, but I didn't know they were doing that. And I didn't know they were going to contribute to what could be the next biggest sector of the next 4 years of our lives. So I have a target on Workhorse, and I think it should have been last week. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm going to, like, ASAP. And then this is a new one for me, and I didn't dig too deep in it. So we're going to have to go into this one a little bit deeper. But EVgo is portable electric vehicle charging stations. That's all I know so far. So I don't know how exciting it is because we have to do more digging. But I was just excited to find it. EVgo. And that is the final answer.
Can I just give you one more to look at?
Yeah, please.
Just real quick. Did you look at Google?
No, we didn't Google.
Okay, I'm going to give you 3. So Google, just real quick, huge day today. They've got an AI product. Stock is doing extremely well. We talked about it. We said that, Google's going to rip at some point. It's starting to rip. So it's up 4%. So for Google, that's big. It's at $112 right now.
Yes. Okay, I'll pull up the chart. I didn't know you wanted to do the one by one. Okay, Google.
Yeah, just wanted to show
nice
that
candle.
Yeah, it's starting to make its move, and I've been waiting for this all year. So it's nice to see that it's finally coming. The next one is Robinhood. They just reported a revenue beat. They did 441 million versus 425 million estimate. Stock is up 6% after hours. So Robinhood just did a nice beat. So that's actually very positive because they've been beat down for a while.
Yeah, and that looks like they can get a good 20 or 30% out of a rip before they resist.
Yeah, and then the other one is a company that we featured a few times now called Briacell, BCTX. They do BCTX,
I
Briacell
loved your
Therapeutics.
interview.
They do breast cancer research.
Yes.
Obviously, cancer is something that is terrible. But these guys are doing breast cancer research and they may have hopefully a cure. So just one to watch, put on your radar, put on your watch list on the
A
NASDAQ.
cure for one type of breast cancer. There's many, many types, but I did do the research. After your video, I went and dug into it. Just to add to that, it's a
Yep.
cure for one type of breast cancer. And
Yep.
that was one thing that was highlighted in some news. However, it's a very common type. So it actually has huge potential.
Yeah, and anytime you can help people with cancer, it's obviously, not just about investing at that point. It's also got like a human element. So I just think it's a really good company for everyone to watch. And I think there's a lot of upside there as well.
Yeah, I do as well. I do as well. I just want to say, like, a lot of the newer therapeutics that are coming out saying we have this for cancer, they're usually just something rare. But the Briacell one is not for a rare type. So that's what I thought was pretty super interesting. So I think it has a lot of potential as well. And it hasn't even shown its spike yet. So super cool. I like this. That was a good list, eh?
Yeah, thank you so much for your list and for breaking this
back
all
at ya.
down. And I look forward to seeing your list next week.
Let's get it. Oh yeah, it's gonna be graphite heavy, I hope, because now I'm stoked about graphite. I knew a little, but I didn't realize how important it was. So let's get it while the chips are down.
All right,
Have
next
an
week.
awesome trading week.
Yeah, next week will be past mid-May. So have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Amanda. And
Back at
talk to
ya.
you guys soon.
Cheers.